Now, the 50th anniversary of the founding CARICOM and the 45th Conference of Heads of Government will be celebrated in Port of Spain from July 3rd to 5th, with, of course, pre-activities actually starting on July 1st. And so here to tell us more about it is the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amery Browne. Dr. Browne, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here, and it's a very important topic that we will be covering this morning for our region.
It is a very important topic, and I know one of the things that we normally hear, Dr. Browne, when we're talking about CARICOM is that Treaty of Chaguaramas. Tell us, what is the Treaty of Chaguaramas?
Well, the Treaty of Chaguaramas was signed right here in Trinidad and Tobago on the 4th of July 1973, when former Prime Minister, the late, great Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, convened three of his colleagues, heads of government of key Caribbean nations, to come to the Chaguaramas Convention Center and to sign a treaty which established this family of nations, the Caribbean Community CARICOM. That treaty really outlined the principles and the pillars of what we now rely upon as our key regional institution for this part of the world. The CARICOM has grown from those initial 4 member states, which would have been Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Barbados, and Guyana, to now a 15-member state family of nations, also with associate members. And the family is likely to grow in the future, because we have all in this region recognized the importance of solidarity, particularly among small island and low-lying coastal states, which characterize CARICOM. We've also recognized that we have a number of differences: geography, ethnicity in some cases, culture, our accents are very different. But those differences are part of what makes us special. Beyond the differences, we have many things in common. And that commonality really is the foundation of CARICOM. It sets us apart and beyond many other similar organizations around the world. And that regional solidarity has seen us through some very difficult challenges. As we approach this golden anniversary, or 50th birthday as a community, it offers us the opportunity to bring the family back to its birthplace, to Trinidad and Tobago, this being the vision of our current Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Bring the family back here, have some celebrations, some introspection on the 50 years that have gone, and look forward to the next 50 years. So that really characterizes our interactions between the 3rd and the 5th of July, 2023.
Now, Dr. Browne, while I understand it's the 50th anniversary and the significance of celebrating here, the 45th Heads of Government meeting is taking place here, but it usually happens in the country for the incoming CARICOM. So, for example, it was supposed to be happening in Dominica, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
So how are we celebrating it in Trinidad instead?
Well, this is simply based on the advent of a coincidence between this 45th Heads of Government meeting, which you're quite correct, in the normal arc of proceedings, which would have taken place in Dominica. Yeah. But because this coincides with the 50th anniversary of the founding of CARICOM, a decision was taken by CARICOM heads to come here to Trinidad and Tobago to have the celebration, and also that Dr. Rowley, as host, would convene this 45th Heads of Government meeting. So the two are occurring here in Trinidad and Tobago. We're still in the final stages of planning some very, I would say, unique commemorations with a special Trinidad and Tobago flavor, but with a determined emphasis on regionalism, and each of the events will showcase the best of CARICOM,
Well, let's
not
get
just
into-
Trinidad and Tobago.
Let's get into the activities, because one of the things that piqued my interest was that, is it a 5K that they're having in Chaguaramas?
Yes,
that's
indeed.
kicking off on July 1st. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we are very proud of our sporting tradition in this region. We've given the world some of the best sportsmen and women. And a real phenomenon has been street running, road running. There's so many clubs here in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a healthy phenomenon. Yeah. It's something that we wish to encourage, and we see it across the region. So there will be several races, street races, taking place as part of this CARICOM celebration. There will be a 1K for children on Saturday the 1st. There will be a 5K for adults around the Queen's Park Savannah, and then for the higher order street athletes, there will be a 10K, yes, which runs in Chaguaramas from the Chaguaramas Convention Center. So all of this sort of as a build-up to get some excitement, to create some attention across the nation and across the region. And again, the reminder is that we will have runners coming in from across CARICOM to participate in these events. The streets will be festooned with CARICOM colors and banners, and really what we want to achieve is a cross-section of the national community really embracing the Caribbean spirit. It's you know, CARICOM sometimes is there in the background. Many of us don't appreciate the value that CARICOM has brought to our lives. And this is an opportunity to just elevate that awareness, that knowledge, and that appreciation.
So that's on July 1st. Walk us through the entire thing, because I know there's a second, but I know the official ceremony kicks off on the 3rd.
Right. On the 3rd of July, we will have the formal opening ceremony. As a prelude to that, there are several interactive exhibitions taking place. We're partnering with NALIS, both in Trinidad, in Port of Spain, San Fernando, in Tobago as well. At the rotunda in the Parliament, we'll also have an exhibition of art with a Caribbean flavor and a focus on the CARICOM family. And then on the evening of the 3rd of July, we will have the formal opening ceremony of the 45th Conference of Heads of Government. That takes place at the Hyatt Hotel in Port of Spain. We have some very special guests who are coming in for these celebrations and this particular Heads of Government conference. And again, we will be conducting the business of that opening ceremony with some special flair, yeah, given the fact that this is our golden anniversary. And from there, we will go to a reception hosted by Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, where heads of government and our special guests will be hosted by Her Excellency and will enjoy the sounds and flavors of Trinidad and Tobago and the region. So that really is the order of business for the 3rd of July. Between that opening ceremony and the reception hosted by the President, there will be a special interaction for heads of government with the Secretary General of the United Nations, who's coming in specially for this event, His Excellency Antonio Guterres. So we've carved out a small period for direct interaction between heads and the Secretary General of the United Nations, and we go up to President's house. Which brings us to the 4th of July, which is the actual anniversary date.
Yes.
So the challenge was to find a way to incorporate Chaguaramas in this celebration, given that there have been many changes down in that peninsula, but that is the actual location of the original signature. And to do so in a manner that involves the entire CARICOM family, but also is considerate of budgetary and other considerations. So what we have determined is that we would have a formal flag-raising ceremony at the front of the Chaguaramas Convention Center. We will bring all our heads, special guests, diplomatic corps, and key stakeholders together there at the birthplace. We will also be doing a time capsule in which heads of state will be writing letters to their successors. This time capsule will be opened in 50 years on July 4th, 2073. I almost went back in time. July 4th, 2073, yes. When those future heads of CARICOM will be brought together again. The time capsule will be opened, and these tributes, advice, memorabilia will be made available at that point.
Now, Dr. Browne, before you move on to July 5th, I just wanted to interject here because you mentioned so many heads of government coming in. Can you share some of the ones who have already confirmed their attendance?
Well, we have confirmations
from everybody
across the board.
Yes.
I would say that in a general sense, we have strong delegations from every single member state of CARICOM. We're still fine-tuning. There are one or two, we're looking at Montserrat and one or two others where we want to ensure that we can get the head of government. But given this special anniversary, we have had what I would describe as one of the strongest turnouts from heads and confirmations that we've seen for a conference of heads for a long time. I think the entire region has recognized that this is an event that will never occur again. You only turn 50 once, and they're all coming out in strong numbers. Yeah. That's also reflected in the interest for special guests to also attend, and we have strong delegations from a number of our entities that are partners with CARICOM and with Trinidad and Tobago, ranging, of course, from the United States of America, China, CARICOM, the European Union, key international organizations and regional organizations, the Andean Development Bank, and it's really a wide range. Koreans as well. We really are going to have a who's who of international diplomacy and leadership right here in Trinidad and Tobago to celebrate with us on this special occasion.
Yeah. Dr. Browne, I'm also wondering about the commemorative activities for the entire year, because as I understand, it's not just we're having it now, but there's going to be a year of activities where you're commemorating this milestone because you want to get the education sector involved. You also want that regional partnership that you're talking about. So what other activities can we look forward to throughout the year?
Yes, so this is the launch. And from this, we will have 12 months of activities here in Trinidad and Tobago and across the region. Every member state has been tasked to develop a schedule of activities in Trinidad and Tobago. I can speak for us. We have very much a multi-sectoral, all-inclusive approach. You've said it. The key is the education sector, involving our school children, our education community, both at all levels, primary, secondary, and even the tertiary level. So getting our universities involved, University of the West Indies, University of Trinidad and Tobago, other tertiary institutions, right down to the primary level. Of course, it goes beyond that. We are hosting some other important events such as the Commonwealth Youth Games, etc. I guarantee to you that the CARICOM presence, the CARICOM awareness, the CARICOM flag, CARICOM celebrations will cover Trinidad and Tobago across the next 12 months and maybe beyond. The media is a key component to this as well. So we're encouraging columnists, writers, the editors to really have that year-long focus as part of our objectives for this 50th anniversary occasion.
Now, apart from this celebration for the 50th anniversary, we're having that special meeting, the 45th, where the heads of government meet. Can you give us some sort of insight into the topics that will be discussed when they meet here in a couple days?
Well, there are a number of topics which fall on the agenda of every conference of heads, and then given the special nature of this meeting, we will have some additional topics. So I can, of course, would have to reference Haiti as being very high on the agenda, given the crisis in our fellow member state of CARICOM. So that will form an important part of our plenary discussions beginning on the 4th of July and going into the 5th of July. It will also form part of the focus of the Caucus of Heads, which is a much smaller gathering behind closed doors of heads of government with support present, and Haiti will be a key part of those discussions. Climate change, food security, regional security, and a continuation of discussions on crime as a public health phenomenon, and financing for development. These are some of the other key areas of focus of this particular meeting. We will also have updates on a number of issues of importance to our family, such as, I can give an example of extending membership to additional potential states within the region.
Yes.
That has been part of our focus. We will get updates on several of the subcommittees that have been running and being convened under the CARICOM quasi-cabinet. So this Conference of Heads is really an opportunity for CARICOM organs as well, and there are several such as CARFA, CARICOM Impacts, the Climate Change Council, all coming together to report to heads on the work that has been done over the last 6 months, over the last year, and seeking to move the agenda forward.
Now, Dr. Browne, we have about 1 more minute left, but you mentioned something very interesting where you said, sometimes CARICOM blends into the background and people don't understand the importance of it. So before you go, tell us why we should continue to have a CARICOM, this conference of states discussing things that affect people across the region.
CARICOM has transformed our lives. In every sector, trade and investment, the health sector, access to pharmaceuticals, vaccines, to open markets for products, to put people in jobs, to put food on our shelves. The Caribbean community, our common voice, our lobbying and advocacy power, our market share, is critical to every single citizen of this region and of this country. That's an important message. It's one that we should all embrace and recognize and cherish. Because if we don't cherish what we have, we won't get the most out of it. So that's the message we want to advance. We want to get people excited about this family of nations once again, and so that we can move forward to the next 50 years of achievement, so that our children and grandchildren can inherit a stronger, better family for the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Browne. I know that you have to go back pretty soon to continue preparations. So we look forward to see all the heads of states and, of course, members from the diplomatic corps coming into Trinidad and Tobago. And let me thank you so much for what you and your ministry have been doing for us thus far.
Thank you very much. It's a team effort.
Of course. And that was the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amery Browne, just sharing some activities that we're going to be seeing for the 50th anniversary of CARICOM, and, of course, that 45th conference of the heads of government that's taking place right here in Trinidad and Tobago. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.
The entire region together.